was a play you guys put in only a couple days before the game. How often does that occur where you put something in and you have enough intelligence on offense with your veteran guys to pull it off?
Because go back to spring and the summer, and we try to rep a lot of stuff, to kind of bank things for the guys. And so you try to rely on their kind of bank of knowledge of doing it. But we try not to do that on a Wednesday, right? And actually, there was 2 plays in that game that we put in on Wednesday, and that was one that scored a touchdown, and the other one was the John Rogers first play of the overtime. But and we had ran it a couple years ago against North Carolina with that, but that's just credit to the guys, right? You put something in and was able to walk through it, again on Friday, again Saturday, and they went to execute it.
Do you have to have veteran players to be able to pull that off?
Well, probably a combination of veteran and smart guys, right? And not so much, I should say, football guys, right? Because football guys who love the process of learning, of adjusting, right, can handle things like that.
You mentioned John Rogers. Now with Dakota Tweedy down, he's going to have to step up. How much have you seen his growth in the last few weeks?
It's kind of what you expected out of a young guy, right, who may have not seen, quote unquote, the light because he was the 3rd or maybe 4th guy, and in practice sometimes may not have been as detailed or focused, right? Young guy still trying to learn and mature. And then he had a little success against William & Mary because he had a good week of prep, right? And then, the Louisville game, he probably wasn't expecting to play as much, and it happened, and he had to lock in really fast. And he actually did a really good job. And these past 2 weeks with the bye week and this week, you just see his intensity improve for his practice, attention to details, technique, overemphasizing fundamentals. So hopefully that'll translate for him to have some success on Saturday.
In those couple weeks without Brady Wilson, how valuable was it to have Drake Metcalf slide into center so seamlessly? And generally, what does Drake bring into the environment week in, week out?
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes to Drake's preparation, right? Because, playing guard is different from playing center because there's somebody telling you the calls, the points. So then he had to up his preparation to know the defensive structure from a center standpoint because now he's in control of everything. And Drake's a confident guy anyway, so, not ever worrying about him lacking confidence, right? But it was just his preparation so that he internally knew and believed it because he's going to exuberate anything, all the confidence in the world. So that's been good. It's been a good transition. Obviously love to get Brady back and have Brady, hopefully this weekend, and then Drake can get back to his regular place at right guard.
With Dakota Tweedy having such a big part in your pass protection, how far along is John in that? And how can you get him more comfortable?
He's come along, and we just got to pick our spots, right, and try to get the right matchups. With that, obviously, we still got Sage and maybe some other things we can do schematically to not lose that piece of our pass game.
And I know you always like to have a third option. Who do you feel like has kind of made that leap in that third spot?
I would say Walker Wallace is a guy that has made that to where he's, earned our trust to go out there and play some.
What did Washington State do on defense that concerned you?
I mean, I tell you what, this group they're a hard-playing group of guys. Kind of a unique structure. It's a 4-down structure with some overhang players, and they just try to junk it up in there and feed it out to the perimeter. And the perimeter players do a really good job of attacking the football, right? They're aggressive coming to get the football. Now, it's resulted in them missing some tackles, but they also make some tackles. So that's really going to be the key is, covering them up front because they're going to be moving and slanting and doing all that kind of stuff, trying to junk up, particularly in our run game. And then when the ball gets to the perimeter, right, our guys got to do a really good job of blocking on the perimeter. And then whoever has the ball got to do a good job of winning the one-on-ones. Because even in the Ole Miss game, early in that game, Ole Miss made some plays out on the perimeter. Then there was some instances later in the game that they didn't and end up in second and longs that resulted in third and longs, and they have a really good third down package as well. So I think that's what happened in that Ole Miss game. They made some plays early on the perimeter, and then they didn't, and that allowed Washington State to kind of be ahead of the chains defensively.
Just looking at the first half of the season, did you kind of learn anything about your guys through these first few weeks?
Yeah, that they're a resilient bunch, like we thought they would be, just based on the way they're trained and practice. Because have 2 overtime games, right? You had some games where we got to some fast starts early in the year, maybe had a little lull. we improved, throughout the middle of a game, like when the middle of 8. This second half of the season, we got to start fast, got to continue to play well through the middle, but, let's finish some games in the fourth quarter, right? Obviously, we've got a lot of experience in overtime, but let's try to end those games because we've had opportunities offensively, right? In the Florida State game, we had a 4-minute situation that we could have basically put the game away and not have to go to overtime. And then even in Louisville, we had an opportunity to go up 10. We missed the throw there to Jamal, right? Because Chandler, 9 out of 10 times, I bet he's gonna make that throw. Just the one time on that Saturday he didn't, because if we would have scored there, then that would put us up 10. With I think it was, can't recall, it was 2 weeks ago, now maybe 7 minutes ago. So you feel like you was in a pretty good spot. But it showed their resiliency to stay in it and just know, hey, we just need to make a play here. And we did in those situations. So just continue to grow from that, but finishing games in the fourth quarter.
When you guys decided to go to the direct snap in the preseason or back whenever you put it in, did you ever imagine it would be as successful as it's been?
Yes and no, because obviously we had been the Brady bunch previously in those situations. And, because Brady was down, and we had these running backs come in here, and we wanted to really, in fall camp, evaluate what can they do and what can they not do. And that was just a package that Coach Heff and myself, Coach Ork, and the whole offense staff kind of grew into and try to keep growing it each week to stay ahead of the defense.
Building off those running backs, what's something unique you believe Jamari, X, Harrison, and Noah bring to the table, and how important is it to have 4 capable backs to open up the offense?
Well, I think you've just seen it, on film, right? They all had the ability to make plays for us in all aspects of the game, because all of them had caught a ball, right? They've obviously done a great job running it, and then when they've been asked to protect, they may have to do that, because that's just the expectation of the running back room, and they've all taken heed to that. To have 4, obviously you see you need that, because the last couple of weeks we've only been playing with 3, because Noah's been down. And that competition in that room is really healthy. You have really good guys, just character guys in that room, and ultimately they just want to see the team win.
Just with the past couple of years of conference realignment, you guys have gotten used to seeing an opponent for the first time. In terms of, have you learned any kind of strategy when it comes to scouting out a first-time opponent?
Yeah, I mean, it's 20-something years of doing that, right? So you do some things in the summer. You do some things, in this situation with us, we had 2 weeks with the bye week. And really the first week was really a deep dive back into us and kind of looking at what have we done well in the first 6 weeks of the season, what do we need to improve on, our personnel, like what guys are playing at a high level we need, what guys need to step it up. So that's a big part of looking at us, as well as starting, looking at Washington State, because they're a team that since their bye week, right, after their bye week, they played Colorado State, they played Ole Miss, and you see a team that's gotten better, right, and they've tweaked some things that they may have done, got a really good coaching staff, they've won games at their previous institution, got a good culture of those guys with them there, so they believe in what they're doing, and you can see them making strides as a team. They're playing with a lot of confidence.
A win Saturday would give you guys bowl eligibility. Mm-hmm. You've been here since Tony has. What would that step, I know you guys have bigger aspirations this year, but what would that step mean for you guys?
Well, it's just progress, right? Just another step in the big plan of the season, right? And more importantly is a win Saturday means we're still undefeated at home. And that's a big goal of ours, is to remain undefeated, protect Scott Stadium. And then if that gets us bowl eligible, which it does, then great. But it's more so about the single focus of protecting Scott Stadium. It's our home turf, right, to go undefeated at home.